Hello, we are still in chapter 9. We are using the allowance method to estimate the uncollectables. I'm using aging of receivables method. So we are using the allowance method and we want to record the adjusting entry or the estimation entry, which is bad debts expense to allowance for bad debts. We're going to use the balance sheet approach for aging of receivables method. So first you need to find the target balance, which is ending accounts receivable multiplied by the uncollectable percentage. Step 2, we need to find bad debt expense and we need to draw a T account for the allowance for bad debts. Okay, so if you have a debit balance, we're gonna add to solve for X. If you have a credit balance, you're gonna subtract to solve for X. Let's read this question. World Class Work Shoes had the following balances at December 31st, 2016. Before the year-end adjustments, accounts receivable has a debit balance, which is 78,000, and allowance for bad debts has a credit balance of 1,060. The aging of accounts receivable yields the following data. Now, again, this is the accounts receivable, it's 78,000. See? How I'm gonna collect them? From 0 to 60 days, I should collect 73,000, but the uncollectable percentage is 2% of this amount. Over 60 days, I need to collect 5,000, and 24% is estimated to be uncollectable. Now, what is the total amount estimated to be uncollectable? So I need to multiply 73,000 with 2%. So it's going to be 1,460. Then I need to multiply 5,000 with 24%. So I'm going to get 1,200. So what's the total amount estimated to be uncollectable? It's 1,460 plus 1,200, so it's gonna be 2,660. This is what? This is the target balance. This is the ending balance for the allowance for bad debts. Okay. Now requirement number 1, journalize world class entry to record bad debt expense for 2016 using aging of receivables method. So he's asking for bad debt expense entry, which means the adjusting entry or the estimation entry. So it's going to be bad debt expense to allowance for bad debts. Since I'm working on accounts receivable and it's not a temporary account, it's a permanent account, it's accumulating. So I need to find bad debt expense by drawing a T account for the allowance for bad debts. Okay? So we had a credit of 1,060. This is my unadjusted balance. Okay, now in the adjusting entry we have the allowance and the credit, and here we found that the target is 2,660. Okay, so X and the target will always be in the credit side. Only the unadjusted balance might be debit, might be credit. So now to solve for X, what shall I do? Shall I add or subtract? I need to subtract, because 1,060 plus X equals 2,660. So 2,660 less 1,060, it's going to be 1,600. I need to subtract. It's going to be 1,600. Requirement number 2, prepare a T account to compute the ending balance for the allowance for bad debt. Okay, so we already did here. This is requirement number 2. So allowance for bad debts. Okay, we had 1060 credit balance. We credited 1600, which is the X, so the target was 2660. Okay, so the ending balance is the target, which is 2660. Now we have a second question. At December 31st, 2016, the accounts receivable balance of TM manufacturer is 230,000. The allowance for bad debt account has 24,000 debit balance. Now, TM manufacturer prepares the following aging schedule for its accounts receivable. Okay, so from 1 to 30 days, I should collect 75,000 of my receivables. From 31 to 60 days, I should collect 80,000. From 61 to 90 days, I should collect 35,000. Over 90 days, I should collect 40,000. So if you add all of this, 75 plus 80 plus 35 plus 40, you're gonna get 230,000, which is the accounts receivable balance. Okay, now he gave you the uncollectable percentage, so you need to multiply the accounts receivable with the percentage to get the estimated amount to be uncollectable. So 75,000 times 0.8 divided by 100, it's gonna be 60. Then 80,000 times 4 divided by 100, it's 3,200. 35,000 times 6 divided by 100, it's 2,100. 40,000 times 48 divided by 100, it's gonna be 19,200. So I need to add them up to get the target amount. 60 plus 3,200 plus 2,100 plus 19,200, it's gonna be 24,560. So this is the estimated amount to be uncollectable. Now let's read the requirements. Requirement number 1, journalize the year-end adjusting entry for bad debts on the basis of the aging schedule. Okay, so the entry will not change. The adjusting entry under the allowance method, it's bad debt expense to allowance for bad debts. Now, since I'm working on accounts receivable, so I need to draw a T account for the allowance for bad debts. Okay, so as he said here that we have 24,000 debit balance, so this is my unadjusted balance, it's debit. Okay, allowance and the adjusting entry is in the credit side, so this is X. The target, it's also credited, it's 24,560. This is the target. Now to solve for X, what shall I do? Shall I add or subtract? Okay, since I have ending balance on the credit side, it means that the credit side was greater than the debit side by this amount, by the target amount. So to solve for X, I'm gonna add, because X less 24,000 equals 24,560. So to solve for X, I'm gonna add these two. 24,560 plus 24. It's gonna be 48,560. Now requirement number 2, show how TM manufacturer will report its net accounts receivable at December 31st, 2016. So requirement number 2, he is asking for the net accounts receivable. Under the current assets in the balance sheet, I'm gonna write accounts receivable less allowance for bad debts equals net accounts receivable. Accounts receivable is 230,000. Okay, allowance for bad debt, we always take the ending balances, so the allowance is 24,560. I'm gonna take the target, the ending balance. Okay, so we're gonna subtract, so 230,000 less 24,560, it's gonna be 205,440. This is the net accounts receivable. Thank you for watching. If you have any question, please leave a comment. Please like, share and subscribe.